So that's the other way that you could do it. The executives not enforcing law, you can make it a challenge as long as you have standing through the Supreme Court to enforce the law. Now, I think what's interesting about the whole marijuana debate, and I'm opposed to it. I've read enough to know how I feel about it, and I appreciate, for the most part, the Chinese and Asian community is opposed to that. They understand how the harmful effects. In Illinois, we were the first state to legalize marijuana via legislation rather than via a referendum, which is a vote by the general public on it. So just so you know, that's just another taint on the passage of that bill, is that most people let the entire community weigh in on it. In this case, you had legislators who are easily bought off by the industry, by their own progressive ideas, and really, I think, quite frankly, by their lack of knowledge about what the harmful impacts of it. And so there was this huge push for just a money grab because it's going to solve our financial problems, which is not even going to come close to doing that. In fact, it's probably going to be a net negative after all the harmful things are weighed in that we have to account for now. But yeah, that's one thing people should be aware of. They don't let people vote on it. Yes.
I have a short question. I comment in a long question. It's a natural question. The short question is also about when we talk about due to the federal law, we know whether retailers are not allowed to use bank. What about credit card? Can you also use credit card to go through the transactions?
My belief is it's pretty much a cash business.
So,
I think it's a cash business. I don't know that they can use credit cards either. Yeah.
So what? Because there's going to be a third public table, public comment in Aurora this coming Wednesday. One of the points I want to bring to the table is that I believe I know they're not allowed to use bank. So I also from our source told me that they're not allowed to use credit card. That means sometimes it's going to be a cash transaction. We're going to bring a huge risk community, robbery, whatever. So that's the point I think we should be to the table.
That's exactly right. The incentive to actually go in there and take their money is huge because it is all cash, which is untraceable, right? So the crime would definitely be there. Do you have the 80-page Colorado study? And I appreciate it. Are you going to actually go up there and speak in Aurora?
Yeah.
Okay, good for you. Thank you for doing that. They were very successful with people just basically shutting down debate or going up there, not shutting down, but actually participating in lengthy debate. So that's why at least Naperville decided to go to referendum. Downers Grove opted out largely. Chinese community helped there. Wheaton's opted out. So there's this really push. I hope Aurora opts out. I don't know. I don't have my hopes for that city, though. I think they're pretty liberal.
My comment is that I really appreciate you talk to some of us to hear the voice from Chinese community. I do want to say that, but however, I don't think the Chinese community always have the same have a uniform political opinions. There's some difference between first generation and second generation. Always, the second generation is more liberal. And also some generations, when you came to America, have the opinion view share among people who came 20 years ago, and recently also could be different. And also the view could be different from those Chinese living in Chinatown. No offense, who are usually less educated than the Chinese living in the suburbs who are always more educated. So I just want to you. If you want to know the Chinese community, just try to talk as much as Chinese can.
Happy to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to talk with you all more. And in fact, I want to talk to Joseph, Eric. I know those two the best, but I mean, Cynthia Hopkins, I know her really well too. We are doing some video testimonials for my campaign, and if anybody wants to help participate in that, we want the stories to come out from the Chinese community about how you have to stop socialism at the federal government. You guys, your families have largely come from that environment, heavy top-down government, and we can't allow that to happen here. So I'm looking for storytellers who want to come into Wheaton be filmed. We're filming October 23rd. Joseph, I'll send you an email about it, and if people want to come in, it'd just be like your 2 to 5 minute riff about why it's important that the American experiment must continue.
Okay,
Yeah.
my long question is that, so I think, talk about, the field on public issues. I think, people think that today, I think most, are conservative and vibrant today in election. I think most of us will vote for, Republican candidates. However, let's face the reality. We know the state, you know, the legislation just pass any bill that they want to. And some city in some area, like because maybe because the their demographics, the people, because the citizens, the residents, they have the uh, option to opt out, but in Aurora, I'm really not that because Aurora likely there's some a large portion of low income people. There is a budget in the city, so my question is that how can we Chinese community, especially those conservative Chinese community and public, they can play such a critical minority role in those Illinois places?
You're asking a great question. I mean, actually, in the state legislature, there's a couple folks that are from the Chinese community, but they're as liberal as they get. They're Mike Madigan,
They are voted
Millions.
by those better in
Yeah.
from Chinatown.
Yeah, right, that's right. They're so liberal, they've lost their way, they don't understand it. And the other problem here is that a lot of them will talk one thing about conservative ideas and, oh, I'm against tax increases. And then they'll vote completely different because they know that these people here are just listening to them, they're not watching them, right? So it is an exhausting process to wake people up and connect dots. It's exhausting. That's why taking over the education system is so important, taking it back, having balance there at least. It's so important. I don't know what to tell you. That is not an easy question. It's a lot of hard work. Door to door. I think really the best thing is for you to petition your city council members and let them know how you feel. And try and get your voice out. And maybe the Daily Herald picks up on it. That covers maybe the Aurora thing. Maybe, Naperville was very successful. They had the orange T-shirts. They had the stickers that said opt out. They all went and basically, made them debate until 2 in the morning so that these people understood we do not want this in our community. You have to organize and do the same sort of thing. And eat flyers, whatever. But you do have the ability to petition. It's not like you're shut down. It's not like China, right? Where they block certain internet sites, right? Where you can only listen to where you're going to get a social scorecard. And if you don't believe, you're going into an indoctrination camp. We are not there yet, but we are. I tell you what, there is a biased media and there's an uninformed public, and it's going to take a lot to wake them up. But instinctively, we know that God's in charge, and we know that it's innate in every human being, the idea of self-determination and self-protection and individual responsibility. We know that that's innate. We have to bring that out of everybody. They know when they're being taken advantage of. We just have to let them know they have a voice, at least in America.
Just follow up with the questions. So I like American culture, which is freedom of speech, freedom of speech. And also they have the balance. We know the social media is so powerful. So at this stage, how can you balance the free speech and the censorship? So basically, fake news. There's a lot of fake news, some news that you just embedded in the fake news. So there's a fake news you cannot censor because you say that they say, we have the freedom of speech. So how can you balance the?
Well, the only solution for bad speech is more speech. That's the only solution. You can't, the minute you try to go and censor stuff, but look, nobody believes the world's going to end in 10 to 12 years. And the fact that the tide is turning on the whole climate scare stuff. And I'm sorry, but China is the one building 300 new coal plants, not the U.S. Our community, our country has largely had cleaner water, cleaner air, and a lot of that's because we're run on fossil fuels that run engines and systems, whether it's your sanitary system or your pollution control systems at all your plants, that's all run off of energy, right? So fossil fuels have actually increased the livability of our cities because they provide the energy to produce the fans, to produce the systems, and the pumps to pump that water to go to a treatment plant rather than just going into an open sewer, right? So we have got to get that story out, but that story isn't getting out. So the answer to bad speech is more speech. It's not to shut down that speech, it's to have people out there combating the fake news. And like I said again, if it doesn't sound true intrinsically to everybody, it's more likely not true. And people have that sense about it. I believe they do. So, yeah.
How do you respond to the bias report on you?
It's fine. It wasn't like it was.
But
If they get actual quote wrong, then we'll write back and say it's actually not what I said. Or if they get a concept wrong, but it is hard. It is hard when they just put out half the story. Look, Greg Hines, I wrote him back and said he gave a fair report out of context. Again, because actually the best social media. Sorry,
I have another
Tracy.
question, yes. When we first came to America, I feel like a Democrat and Republic are more able to collaborate and work things out. But I think since this administration, I see the real divide, and they're like choice that kind of who was left. The Democrats couldn't believe that they didn't win. They couldn't believe that voters put him in office. And so they had started attacking him on November 9th of 2016. Okay, he has been under attack. You had nearly 70 Democrats just refused to go to the inauguration and started with that. And then you've had one allegation after another against our president. From the emoluments stuff, that didn't stick to, he's actually, we think, clinically insane and needs to be removed using the 20. They don't like him personally, so it became very personal. And honestly, I think they're afraid of what he's uncovering right now about what actually happened in 2016 with business, and it goes back. So they have a lot to hide. I mean, more and more is coming out about former Vice President Biden and his connections with money that came out of Ukraine. They don't want to get to the bottom of that. They want to control the levers of power. Trump couldn't do much there, though. He couldn't stop Texas from fracking, which is why you have this energy explosion. But it's from Obamacare taking over nearly corporate elites who just want to negate competition for themselves. And who put them at the bottom of my list for Republican choices. Things like physically wiping it with the Democrats want to overturn the 2016 election. That said, when I align with Trump on policy, I align with Trump on policy. When I don't align with Trump on policy, I don't align with Trump on policy. The idea that they budget, spending caps, a 2-year budget that added $340 billion plus to our deficit. I'm not in favor of that. It's been more under attack by the Democrat Party than them. And 30 years ago, you're right, we did not have as big a divide. Why? Because we didn't have as big a government. Government has just grown immensely since that time frame. And you also have all the social media that comes up, all the fake news that's been coming up. But I think that we have to get back on track and work to solve real problems. This is a district that is both a generous district and a problem-solving district. We solve Progressive tax.
what
Tax rate, the progressive.
Oh, the progressive tax.
Six is current representative is Sean Carson. So can you tell us why you want to be a replacement for Sean Carson? So why he's not that good? Can represent us?
Sure. So Sean Caston is literally one of the most liberal members of the Congress about with climate change, and how it's an existential threat. He really is more concerned about the seas rising 8 feet to cover the eastern seaboard than he is concerned about. It was in front of the federal chairman, and he asked him, how do you provide protection for these before they paid off their mortgages? How do we protect those people? Why is he worried about Louisiana and Alabama constituents than the 6th congressional when he wants to put in place? This is nonsense. We're that any more power. He's got multi-step ways to take us to Medicare for all, which would collapse the private health insurance market. He doesn't want you to have choices in your own life. He wants you to go to the DMV, pick up your new driver's license, and get a mammogram at the same time. I'm not on board for any of his socialist ideas. He is a man who has said that he wants to repeal the 2017 tax cut. I oppose that. He is somebody who has wanted to impeach Trump since June of 2018, even with no evidence. When this latest thing came up with the Ukrainian phone call, he was calling for impeachment prior to even the transcript being released. He's also said that Kavanaugh needs to be impeached. He is a radical left progressive. He doesn't represent our district. He has not solved one single problem that related to healthcare costs, patient choice, college affordability, securing our borders, or any of that. So he does not represent us. I don't think he represents the 6th congressional district. And you give those guys more power, they will do exactly what Pritzker did his last session when they had total power and total control. They will put in higher taxes. They will put in new taxes. They will make, drug distribution and more gambling the tenets of how they're going to produce more income, meanwhile destroying the fabric of society. They will do political indoctrination. They'll do identity politics indoctrination in your schools, which you have seen with LGBTQ community. Sean Caston voted for a bill that would destroy women's athletics by letting transgendered men compete against women. This is nonsense. It's anti-science. That's who he is. And so I'm going there for 2 reasons. One, I'm going to stand up against the nonsense coming out of the liberal left. And I'm going to stand up for us in putting forth common sense solutions to our everyday problems. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be your voice there. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on so you can weigh in as well. I'm not going to hide. So I think he needs to go, along with Nancy Pelosi. Can't give them more power, so that's why I'm running. Any help you can give me, that'd be great. I'm going to leave these with you, Joseph. If people want to, these are just packets. It's passing petitions, a little bit of information about me. If you want to donate, there's donation information in there as well. A little more literature.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Just one question.
Oh, one more question? Okay.
Sure.
I have been to West Point many times.
Oh, yeah, good.
I used to live very close to West
Okay.
Point. So what do you think is like the most important thing you learned at West Point?
I would say really just the code that we live by. You can not lie, steal, or cheat, nor tolerate those that do. And it's about living your life that way every day and really adhering to a code. And when on your team lives by that same code, then you can be sure that when adversity hits and you're working as a team, that people are going to do the right thing. Yep. Thanks.
Okay, again, we'll give Jeanne has an event in Vancouver,
Okay.
so we have to let her
Thanks
know.
for having me, Joseph.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And if anybody wants to come in and just talk about your experiences here in America, we'd love to put you on tape about how you feel about it. Okay, I'll let you know. Okay.
Now we have 15 minutes break. We can go upstairs. We'll have some donuts and coffee, okay?
那个大家休息前我说两句，我讲两句。
OK，
那个我主要我很快啊，给大家解释一下。这次本来是 Joseph 办的，后来我是半路差点帮个忙。 我主要刚才因为大家问了几个问题哈，我给大家我想从我的角度回答一下。因为我们在这边选举，就是一个影响是地方的，一个影响是联邦的，对吧？那么现在我们能做什么？大部分华人都在兰州的郊区，那我们在 local 的影响很有限。我们在联邦影响有2个是最可能的，一个是总统选举，这个呢我们影响也有限，对不对？你兰州你选上去选举人票你根本不少。那么最可能的选举就是那个 House of Representatives 国会的选举最可能，它能够在 nationally， 比如说有些 bill 的通过，对吧？我们也就是说 vote locally and contribute nationally， 所以这个是一个最可行的。如果我们看 Republican 它的一些无论学校的 LGBTQ 啊，什么男女厕所问题啊，大麻问题啊，好税收的问题，都跟我们华人的这种 tradition， 其实因为我们也不是说一直说价值观，而是实用来讲，我们是忠实的纳税人，是最惨的纳税人，中产阶级。那么这种情况下，就是说我们如果能够在这个我们这个 congressional district 能够 vote effective， 这个是一个最有效的方法。而你看，像那个Jeanne她